Hello everybody, this is Hypersonic and welcome to what should be the final episode of Season 2 of the Sonic CD Soundtrack Comparisons. We have a tied ball game, 13-13. The American soundtrack has finally rebounded and caught up. It's all going to come down to these 6 tracks, folks. We're going to go through them in this order. DA Garden, Time Attack, Invincibility, Speed Up, Level Clear, and Game Over. So let's get right into it. Round 28, the DA Garden. Here's the Japanese version. And now for the American version. The Japanese version of the DA Garden theme is really good. It starts off very nice. I like the birds chirping in at the beginning. And overall, it's a very energetic, happy song. The US version is just Sonic Boom's ending version without lyrics, which is really good if you want to make some sort of cover of the song. It does have its uses, I will say, and it does fit the DA Garden too. The US version of DA Garden theme fits the concept of what a song should play in the DA Garden, whereas the Japanese version just fits the visuals, it fits the little plant in the background, it fits all the animations happening in the background. So that's how both soundtracks fit DA Garden. The Japanese version is just an original song, which thankfully is not a remix of You Can Do Anything, so it gets points for originality. This was a close round in Season 1, but this time around it's not even competitive. Japanese soundtrack wins this round big time. Round 29, Time Attack. Here's Japanese version. And now for the American version. Just like in the DA Garden, the US soundtrack is the same song with no changes this time around. It's the same exact thing as DA Garden. Again, good for covers. But when it comes to the Time Attack theme, I think this one fits even better, and I think this one does better for a time attack theme than a DA Garden theme. The Japanese soundtrack fits the time attack. This is a bit of a close round because I think the US soundtrack fits better here than in comparison to DA Garden. But the Japanese soundtrack wins this round too. I just love the instrumentation, I love that guitar, like the bass line. It's just all around a good song. I really love this one. And despite that, it's a bit closer because the US soundtrack does fit this one more than it fits DA Garden. The Japanese soundtrack wins this round. (15-13). The Japanese soundtrack only needs 2 more rounds to win. Round 30, the Invincibility theme. Here's Japanese soundtrack. And now for the American soundtrack. I like both of these themes. I like them both. The Japanese version is really cool. Contrary to belief of what other people think of it, I think it's actually really cool for Invincibility theme. The US version though is just fantastic. I really like it. It sounds like you're invincible. It sounds like you're powerful. For the Japanese version, it kind of sounds like you're powerful, but it's not as much as the American version. And I do think the American version is also a better song for an Invincibility theme, and it's better composed and sounds better, in my view. I like both of them, but the American soundtrack wins this one easily. (15-14). The American soundtrack is gaining a bit on the Japanese soundtrack. This is going to become a very close one, folks. This is going to be a very close one, folks. Round 31, speed up theme. Here's a Japanese version. Here's the US version. And now for the 510 prototype version. The 510 prototype version, aka the beta version, it's okay, it's decent, but it kind of ruins what I liked about the Japanese version. I think this is really the only time where the beta soundtrack is not as good as the final version of the Japanese soundtrack. So, I mean, it just doesn't really sound that well. The Japanese version, though, I really like that one. Even though it is, once again, a remix of You Can Do Anything, at least it's not as obvious as a remix as the beta version, which I like, especially considering my views on You Can Do Anything. The US speed up theme, it's just like, again, just like the Invincibility theme, it sounds powerful. It has a lot of energy to it. And even though it is actually a bit slower than the Japanese version, that energy behind it makes you feel like you're powerful, even if it's not as fast as the Japanese version, whereas The Japanese version is faster, but it's just not as energetic, so it just kind of doesn't make you feel like you're Sonic fast. So the US soundtrack wins here narrowly because it's more energetic and it makes you feel more powerful, despite it being not as fast as the Japanese version. 15-15, both are tied in the final video once again. 2 more rounds. Both these have to go for either of these soundtracks. If one goes for each soundtrack after this one, I mean, it's not going to go really good. Round 32, the penultimate round. Level clear. Here's the Japanese version. And now for the American version. This round was going to be a bit close originally, but after editing these videos, I don't think I really like the Japanese version as much. Also, but I always thought this one was a bit weird for a level complete theme. It's basically a part of the ending theme, which I mean that's kind of cool. How a chunk of the ending theme is the ending theme for the actual stages. That's kind of cool. But the US version sounds like you actually completed something, and I like that. The US version of the level complete theme is really rewarding after you made a good future in Zone 1, 2, or 3. It's really rewarding for that especially, and I love that. I love it so much. The US soundtrack wins here in a landslide. (16-15), the American soundtrack is at the cusp of winning Season 2. It's really going to be a very close one, guys. This one's going to be close. Even if the American soundtrack wins, it's only by 2 rounds, which really isn't much, folks. So this is going to be a very close one. It's going to easily go down the wire, and we'll have to see how this one turns out. This is it. The final round. Round 33. The Game Over theme. Here's the Japanese soundtrack. And now for the American soundtrack. 'The American version of the Game Over theme, I mean, I do think it is a bit creepier than the boss themes, but I don't know, this one doesn't really hit as much as the boss themes to me. I mean, I get that it fits the situation a lot. Like, if Sonic dies, Eggman wins literally everything. We all know that. But this one, I just don't really know about this one. It's a good song. I mean, I guess it's an okay song, but like, I don't know, this one actually has a different composer. Mark Crew made the boss themes, Spencer Nilsson made the Game Over theme, and this one, I don't know, this one is just a bit lame for me. I don't know. I just never really cared too much for this song. Whereas Japanese version, I really like it. It sounds sort of like an arcade Game Over theme. I like it. It kind of has that sort of a 90s feel too. And I also think it sounds better. I like the birds chirping in it. I just like a lot of things about it. Way more than I should for a Game Over theme, but I like this one. So the Japanese soundtrack wins this round in a landslide. (16-16). We have entered the nightmare scenario where neither soundtrack has earned a majority, because of course Quadrant Good Future going to a tie. So what we could do is we could either redo the entire score, of course, watch a good feature, which I'm probably not willing to do, because if I give that one to either soundtrack, there's going to be big of a war in the comment section. And a lot of people saying, oh, you prefer the American soundtrack, that's terrible, or oh, you prefer the Japanese soundtrack, that's terrible. And I don't really like the toxicity around Sonic CD. So I think what we're going to do after this is recount the entire way. We're going to recount this entire thing the way KMS did, which I actually like the way how he recounted it. I think that scoring system is pretty cool, and I think that scoring system is pretty good, and it shows a lot of how people think of the music. Showing by how much they won by in margins, that actually shows a whole lot more than just, you know, the scoring system that he used before then, which is what I'm using right now. And we're 16, yeah, I mean, I prefer half of each soundtrack, but how much do I like the other one by? In terms of, like, each song, how much do I like each song by, which I've kind of already hinted at, but for some songs I haven't really gone that direct of a hint. So, yeah, I think I'm going to do that for the next video, perhaps. Maybe I'll just end this one off as a tie and everybody will be happy, or I'll release a recount video and maybe one will win there. And if one tie is there, well, then I guess that's just Season 2. Season 2 just ends in a tie both ways. But thank you guys for viewing Season 2 of the Sonic CD soundtrack comparison videos. It was kind of fun making these videos. I really enjoyed making these videos. And who knows, if I make a recount video, see you guys later. If not, game over. See you guys later.